Welcome back, 3D students. In this video, we're going to create Patrick from SpongeBob SquarePants. And we're going to start with a spherified cube like we have done in the past. And if I close the render here, select the mesh, turn on edged faces, turn off smoothing, you can actually see the spherified cube form right here. So what we did here is we extruded the top of it to create his head, and then we extruded his arms out of those extrusions. His legs just come out the middle just like that. So you can clearly see that this is just a reshaped spherified cube, the same shape that we've used in the past. We're also going to use reference image planes to guide our modeling, and we're going to organize them in layers. Here are our reference images that we used. And this is the layer manager. It's simply another view of your scene outliner. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing I think we should do is create a new project folder for this so we can keep everything organized. So let's open our Windows Explorer and then navigate to your class folder. I'm going to use this one. Yours should be 3DMA2, and it should be on your OneDrive or in your Documents folder. And then let's find New Folder. It could be in your File menu here. These things have tabs. Or it could be a little icon down here, or it could be right here. You can also click this. So I'm just going to click this one, and I'm going to name this Star. And then we can close this window, and we can come up here to our toolbar, and here are some new tools here, some new buttons for project folder functions. So let's click this one right here. It says Create Default. And then let's go find that folder we created. Click it once and click Select Folder. Now what that does is it creates a series of folders inside that folder that 3D Max needs to use to organize things like textures and backup files and animations and things. So let's find our reference images. On the D drive of your computer, your class computer, I have placed two images, the views that I showed you earlier of Patrick from the front and the side. And I've also given you a texture that I created for Patrick here. We're going to unwrap his mesh and put this on the texture. Here is the front view. I've also given you a rear view and a side view. Now this is not the D drive, but these files will be on the D drive. So what you need to do is find these files on the D drive and then hit Control N to open up another Explorer window. Drag it over to the side and then find the project folder that you just created. And then double click Scene Assets, Images. And I want you to take that texture and the front and the side and the rear and put all of those in the Scene Assets Images folder of your new project folder that you just created. And then you can close these windows. And now we need to create a material using those images so we can apply them to planes that we can then use to model. So open your material editor by pushing M on your keyboard. Drag a physical material out. So my mouse is glitching out. Kill the reflections. And then hold down Shift and copy that material twice. And give them a little separation here. And then we're going to drag off the base color node. Go to General, Bitmap, and you go and find these images. Let's start with the front. And then let's do the next one. And get the side. And then let's do the next one. And get the rear. Now each of these bitmap images, if you click on it, has a specific size. If you click View Image down here in this little button here, you can see the image, and if you right click on it, you can see the size. This is 283 by 429. So we need to make our plane that size, or close to that size. 283 by 429. So I'm going to move this over here. Now that was the front view, so I'm going to switch to front view by pushing F on my keyboard. And I'm going to get a plane, and I'm going to create a plane. And then I'm going to go to the Modify tab, and we're going to zero out the segments because we don't need them. Then I'm going to type in those numbers here. This is the width, so that was 283. And the height was, I don't remember exactly, 429. So we can type that into the height. That's the height. Now let's move this up so it sits on the ground. And then let's return to the perspective view and apply that to our plane. And then let's move it back from the center of the world, because we're going to model right here. We want to model in front of our planes. Now let's switch to the left view by pushing L on our keyboard and create a plane. Go to the Modify tab, and let's check the size of that's the side view, yes. Let's check the size of the side view. That one is 191 by 431. Let's go ahead and make this one 429. No, 431. We don't have to zero out the sides, the segments, because that already happened because of the last one. So let's go to the perspective view and apply this side material to the plane. And then we can move this over here. And now let's do the back. Now to switch to the rear view, we have to come up here and click the perspective name and go to back. There is no shortcut for the rear view. And let's create another plane. And let's see what the size of the rear image is. It's 285 by 431. Let's go to the Modify tab and change this to 285 by 431. And then let's return to the perspective view. Oops, I'm sorry. Then let's return to the perspective view by pushing P on the keyboard. And let's apply that material to the rear view and move it away. Now we might want to move these further out. To give ourselves some room here. And before we leave this, I know it's getting long, let's organize our layers. Make sure your Scene Outliner is, or your Scene Explorer is open. If you don't see it, click right here, and you'll get it right here. And then you can dock it over here again if you need to. Switch to the Layers view, which is this one here. Hold down Control and select all three of your planes, and click this plus sign. And that takes those three things and puts them in a new layer. Name this reference. This is our reference layer. Now, this is now the active layer. That's what this little blue stack icon means. So let's make sure that the default layer is the active layer, because the active layer is the one in which the next thing you create is going to be placed, and we don't want that in there. The next thing we need to do is select all three of these planes. We need to right-click, and we need to go to Object Properties, and we need to uncheck this box here, Show Frozen in Gray, because what we're going to do is freeze this entire layer, so we can't select it and move it. We may not do that just yet, but we will do it. And we don't want it to turn gray when we do, because we need to see those images. Okay, we now have our scene set up and ready for modeling. So let's go ahead and save it. And let's name this one Patrick01. And when we come back in the next video, we will create the spherified cube and begin to model Patrick's body. And I'll see you then.